Good evening. Good evening. I apologize for the lateness of the hour. I hope you all had a great day. Uh, Thank you for joining us for walking through the Bible. This is not going to be long. We are dealing with uh, the book of Zephaniah. It's a short, but it's a powerful three-chapter book written by Zephaniah, who was a descendant of King Hezekiah. And it's important to point that out because Hezekiah was one of the good kings. He actually tried to honor God and bring the people back to following the laws of God. So let's get to it. So, here in this book, we have Zephaniah prophesying during the reign of Josiah. And we talked about him yesterday. And this was a time when the people of Judah were deeply corrupted by pagan worship and systemic injustice that they introduced through previous kings. Judah had gone through a lot of really bad kings, Manasseh and some others. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened over a period of time that the people uh, began to turn away from God. So we have Zephaniah here, a descendant of considered one of the best kings that followed God. I just want to make sure the volume's okay. Hope that's okay. So we have this prophecy, and what he's dealing with the uh, day of the Lord. It's a concept, it's representing the absolute divine judgment against sin, but also it shows God giving a dramatic purification and a restoration of the faithful. So we have here during this time, King Josiah is on the throne. And we talked about him trying to bring the people back in line with the laws of God yesterday. And the problem was, even though Josiah was trying to he crushed all the pagan gods and ground them to dirt and actually made a graveyard out of their statues and their altars. Even though his heart was turned toward God, the people remained so wicked and so proud, and they were deeply, deeply involved in idolatry. So you have a leader who's trying to do the right thing, who's trying to reinstitute the laws of God. But the people were so far gone, he could not get them to turn back. So God sent Zephaniah with a message to warn that all the superficial, all the external religious cleanup that Josiah was trying to do could not save them from God's judgment. So in chapter 1, the target Josiah opens with this almost apocalyptic. I'm sorry, I'm old school. I like the book in my hand. We see Josiah opening this description in those first few verses is almost like an apocalyptic vision of the universe being de- decomposed, broken down. And God declares he's going to sweep away everything from the face of the earth, even reversing the order of creation by consuming man, beasts, birds, fish due to human rebellion. And the focus quickly turns to Judah and Jerusalem, the sins that they were committing. God targeted the religious hypocrites, because even some of the priests, they were also swearing oath to pagan idols like Baal and Molech. And God says, listen, do you think I'm going to do nothing about this? Do you think I'm going to let this slide? And his tone was, look, the day of the Lord is going to be a day of wrath, distress, ruin, darkness, gloom. I am going to utterly destroy everything. But we see, God is so good. Even though he's declaring that in chapter 2, he tells them, he has Zephaniah go from a warning to a desperate plea, saying, look, before the scope of judgment gets even wider to the surrounding superpowers, come back. He gives them in that second chapter, the first through the third verse, he pleads with them. Listen, he's seeking the righteous, anyone with meekness that might be hidden. He says, listen, the Lord hides, the Lord protects. He's basically saying, hey, anybody out there who's willing to humble themselves and turn toward God. And at this time, God is so angry that the judgment goes beyond Judah. He begins to prophesy that geographically, in all four directions, he is going to show that no sinful nation is going to escape his justice. In the west, we had Philistine, which is Gaza and Ascalon. In the east, we have Moab and Ammon. And he said they will become like Sodom and Gomorrah due to their pride and their insults against God. In the south, we have Cush, which is Ethiopia and Egypt. He says they will fall by the sword, just making sure that volume is right. And then in the north, we have Assyria. And God is saying, look, your magnificent capital, Nineveh. Remember, we talked about Nineveh before. He said, Nineveh is your great and mighty capital, is going to be turned into a barren desert, into a wasteland. So here we have the judgment of God expanding all around Judah, to the north, south, the east, and the west. And in that third chapter, he deals with Jerusalem's rebellion and the promise of restoration. And the wonderful thing about God, even as he sends a word about this destruction, he also ends with one of the most beautiful and joyful promises of restoration in the whole Bible. He talks about the corruption of the elite in that third chapter, verses 1 through 7. Uh, Zephaniah doesn't pull any punches regarding Jerusalem's leader. He calls the princes roaring lions, evening wolves. And he says, as they refuse to accept correction or trust in God, he talks about what will happen to them because they thought they were the great lions. And when we go down to verse 8 through 10, God's judgment is revealed to be purifying rather than destructive. He says he's going to pour out his indignation to consume the wickedness so that he can purify the speech of the people. and cause all nations to call upon his name. And when we get down to verse 11, God promises to remove the proud and the haughty and leave behind a meek and humble people who trust him. And at the end, the book closes with this wonderful song of joy. God in their midst, he cast out her enemies and he will rejoice over you with singing. So, what he's doing is promising to bring the exiles home and restore their fortunes. Because remember, Israel had been dealing with being taken away by the Persians. They had been taken away by the Assyrians. They had been invaded by so many other nations, and the final exile was by the Babylonians. So here we have this word. God is saying, look, foolishness, your idolatry, all of the idol worship. They were practicing just some really horrible things. He said, I'm sick of this. But even in that, he ends the book by saying, I'm going to use the purging as the to bring you back to me. So even though we have this severe warning, he ends with joy and restoration. God loves us so much that even when he has to bring correction, he makes a way to bring his people to himself. And if we look at this story, the final restoration, the final purification, and the final reconciliation is when he sent Christ, because the people, they just could not keep the law. They just couldn't keep the law on their own. And finally, God sent the final absolute the resolution, which was the sacrifice of his son. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes on him shall not perish, but they shall have everlasting life. So in this small book, these 3 chapters, we see not just a God who's angry, who's sending a word of judgment, and the judgment expands all around. But in the end, we see his heart. It is his will that none should perish. It's not his will that people be lost and be destroyed. So if you happen to come across this and you don't know Christ, let me tell you, there is a God who loves you so much. He made the ultimate sacrifice. You do not have to work for it. You don't have to earn it. All you have to do is believe that Jesus was the Son of God, that he came and he died and he rose again. So, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who catch this later, because I know it's late, thank you so much. I hope you get something out of this. Please stick with walking through the Bible. This is day 218. Day 218, people. We are moving through this year. Can you believe it? It is August the 6th. Oh my God, it is August the 6th. We only have a few months left in this year. So stay on this journey with us. Hey, Tamika, stay on this journey with us. All right. It's been a blessing to me because it pushes you to go deeper into the word. And the more that I study, the more that I think, oh man, I don't know nothing. Because the word, there's always fresh revelation. So never think you're in a place where you know it all. There's always something to glean from his word. So again, have a great night. Bless you. I hope that your sleep is sweet and that you have an awesome day tomorrow. Blessings.